Well, very good afternoon, good morning, and good evening to all on the worldwide DATV net. We wish to welcome you here this afternoon, and we hope it will be a interesting discussion. Not too many people on today, but anyway, we shall give it a whirl. Firstly, we want to thank the Qatar Amateur Satellite Corporation for allowing us the opportunity to be on their wonderful satellite. We also wish to thank the AMSAT DL team, AMSAT UK team, and of course the British Amateur Television Club, of which the chairman's on board with us today. Hello to you there, Martin. There was another station that came up, Keith, Golf Uniform 6, Echo Foxtrot Bravo. Very nice signal indeed. So I will put you on the list if you want to come on, Keith, after Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Perhaps you want to pop in and say hi. Looks interesting. You're on the ship or a boat or some sorts. Anyway, today we have the following. ZS1 Mike only listening. He's got a hard drive problem. His SSD is frozen and all his data is lost. So he's got that in for a repair, but he is able to receive us on another laptop. So hi, Leon. I hope it comes right quickly. Hello to you, Bert, Papa Alpha 3 Alpha Oscar Delta. So you will take it after me there, Bert. You say you've got some TX problems. Well, I certainly hope you sort them out. I saw earlier that I think you said, hey, werk weer. And hello to you, Martin, G4FKK. Had a nice chat to the BBC field station on SSB. I hardly ever come on. I was just testing a new LNB that I had modified and spoke to Golf Quebec 8 Bravo Charlie. I think his name was Nick in Northam. But anyway, he's retiring soon, he said. So I didn't quite figure out if he knew you or you know him. But anyway, they had a nice field station going yesterday. Very nice signal indeed. Hello to you, Mike. And I don't know what your topic is today, but it's always interesting whichever way, even if it's just discussion. Hello to you, Ed, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. Ed, we'll pass it to Golf Quebec 8 Bravo Charlie. If he is there, then you can pass it back to me. Sorry, as you were. Golf Uniform 6 Echo Fox Bravo. My apologies. Golf Uniform 6 Echo Fox Bravo. That's Keith. And then, Keith, you can pass it back to me if you're on. I know you probably are listening. You put through a smashing signal a few minutes ago. I just want to say hello to Tobiso. Tobiso is listening, and he's a young chap that came to visit me this week. So I sent him the YouTube link. So, Tobiso, if you are, good afternoon to you. And quite a bright young guy. So who knows, we can maybe make a radio amateur out of Tobiso in due course. And then, of course, Henry, ZS6 Mike Charlie, he's in Portugal at the moment. So he also sends his greetings. I think he's watching on YouTube at the moment. But who knows, maybe next week we can pipe him through via WhatsApp or something. I'm working on something so that we could maybe try that. Right. I will now pass it to you, Bert, Papa Alpha 3 Alpha Oscar Delta. If you pass it to Martin, Martin to Mike, Mike to Ed. And then Ed, hopefully Keith comes in from Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India.
Oop, wrong button. Yeah, okay, good afternoon, morning or evening, everybody. It's a long time ago when I was on the net, but yeah, I got some issues with my computer. Normally I do no updates at all, but the computer asked me last week, do you want an update? I want to press the no button with my stupid fingers or my stupid head, whatever you want to call it. I pressed yes, huh? How stupid could you be? Anyway, after that, got a lot of problems, eh? We'll see if that continues, especially with the FMPEG. I don't know what it is really, but no, we try to figure out what it is. And the last couple of weeks were some contests for ATV, not certainly DATV, but ATV, on 70 centimeters and higher. On 70 centimeters, of course, AM, and on the higher frequency and FM modulation. But I think in a couple of years all that will be gone, because there are already a couple of stations only available for the contest and DATV, not even more any analog ATV. It's a pity, but that's the time. For the rest, yeah, I changed my check a little bit, a lot of it. And it's not all installed again, but that will be coming in a couple of weeks. And other things I'm busy with is, probably the well-known expansion boards for the Potsdam 4. These two little boards, maybe a little bit, the sun is shining, nice sun. Yeah, let's see what's happening now. It was again, crashed again. I don't know what it is, but we'll see. And the thing I'm busy with is my amplifier control board with the Raspberry Pi on it. The small coax slowly has to be placed again over here with two SMA connectors. That will, with all the control lines for the DS1820 for temperature control, on-off switching, and so on and so on and so on. That's what I'm busy on the moment. But I will stop the transmission because it's going wrong again. I don't know what it is. I have to figure it out. Anyway, system goes into the UK, to Martin. G4FKK from PH3 AOD.
Right. Oh. It's a while since I've used the kit. So hopefully it's working okay. Well, it does seem to be. So yes, very good afternoon, evening, morning, good night to everyone on the net and watching. I see we've got Don, EI8DJ watching. Hi Don. And Patrick, PD7 X-Ray. I don't think I've seen you before, Patrick, and Chris, OM1RC. So, and it'd be good if Keith's there. I haven't seen you for a while, Keith. Be good to catch up with you. I'm very late on parade in the shack as well. My son and his girlfriend have been visiting us over the weekend. I've also done my first 5 days back at work for 2.5 years last week. So it's all confusion and combobulation here. But so I've got nothing particularly interesting to show. I have recently bought one of these AMSAT kits, which you probably can't see with the terrible lighting. It's a driver, 2.4 gig driver filtered, My one was giving me some problems. Anyway, I ordered the kit, and then I found out what the problem was on my homemade one, so I'm still using that at the moment. Yeah, I know a few nicks at the BBC, Gary, and GQ8 BBC. There's, I don't know if it's on today. I can't remember. There's a 4-metre contest, and they've set up in a field somewhere to. Oh, there's Mrs. FKK at the background. And I was hoping to join in with that, but yeah, with my son and his girlfriend being here, that became difficult. So, but I hope they do well in the 4-metre contest. But your picture and sound was pretty good. It did freeze at one point. Then you sort of cut carry and came back, and it all seemed, when you came back, it seemed fine. So that's good. And the various boards are going to be good when you've got them going. The amplifier control board with the tiny Raspberry Pi on it looks very promising too. Oh, and hello to Henry, by the way, in Portugal. Hopefully on holiday and not working, but who knows. And Torbiso, I think you said, was watching as well. Yeah, I'll have a quick look on the. I'm a member of the BBC Radio Club, Gary, so I'll see if I can find which nick that might be. It's quite funny in the BBC. There's a chap I used to talk to on Top Band all the time. I used to talk to him when I was mobile on Top Band, heading towards my job at the BBC, and unbeknownst to me, he was a lecturer at the BBC's training department at Wood Norton, and I'd been in several of his lectures over the years, but it wasn't till years later we both discovered we were both at the BBC. People tend not to talk much about amateur radio in the BBC. I suppose it's because they're surrounded by professional radio, maybe. I don't know. Anyway, so I might know Nick and I might not Gary. Right, it's enough old waffle from me, so I'll put it round to Mike. I've not seen Mike for a while, so but then it's because I've been working. The previous 3 weeks, by the way, I was doing just 3 days a week up in Birmingham, but I've just had the first 5. I've got to go back to work tomorrow, by the way, which is a late issue bank holiday here. Oh, hello there. Okay. Anne's just driving my daughter back home as well. She's been here as well over the weekend. Yeah, so unfortunately I'd booked train tickets and hotels before we realised there was going to be a bank holiday, so I'm going back up to Birmingham tomorrow. But at least I'll have a nice quiet time in the studios because no one else is going to be there. Back to you, Mike. Around to you, Mike. G0 Mike Juliet Whiskey and the worldwide net G4 Fox King standing by.
Okay, let's see if this is going to work. I had a few freezing problems of late, so if my video suddenly freezes, something in the Windows update has broken everything. I'll have to sort it out at some point, but it'll take me a while. Anyway, good morning, afternoon, evening. Happy tomorrow, depending on where you are. Good to see everyone again. Bit of a reduced net this time, but we'll see how it goes. Not a lot to report on really. I have been doing a few things. A couple of things I'm going to show. One is this. Actually, this is the big version of it. This is the device to fit on the front of the camera to try and get rid of the sun that was hitting the side of the lens. I made a big one and a small one, and the small one is a bit narrower field, and that's what's on at the moment with the camera not at its full width. Anyway, let's see. Where's the bench camera? There we go. So, bit of a mess on the bench. I've been doing a couple of Plutos for somebody to be shipped out to somebody or carried out to someone at a later date. One is a version B and the other is a version CD, and the TCXO didn't fit in either of them. But I managed to bodge it into the older version. I'm not going to do that with the newer version because it has a reference input already on a connector. So I've just brought the connector to the outside and I'm going to build up a reference. At least that's the idea anyway. The PCB's got nothing to do with that. PCB is the ICOM interface, which works. Okay, let me just go on to the next topic. And I'm afraid, as I say, I don't have very much to say today, so you might find yourself bored to tears. This is the board that I've just been working on. It's a 3D render of it at least, and it's looking odd because it's got 3 TCXOs on it. Now, it isn't really 3 TCXOs, it's just a breakout board. With 3 different TCXO footprints on it, so you don't fit 3, you fit 1, and the idea is that it just gives you something to plug in and connect up an oscillator and get a signal out for testing, etc. I suppose you could probably put this inside the Pluto if you took out the connectors, but that's not the intent. So there we go. Was there something else? There was something else. Bert, you showed me an interesting PCB, but unfortunately your video froze just as you were going to tell us what it was, at least for me. And by the time I got it to resync, because it had to be restarted again, you'd frozen again. Actually, in fact, I just saw it moving for a bit, and then I lost you again. So not sure what that was. So interested in finding out. What else? I've been to Germany this week, so I've not been around very much. We'll be around next week, but then the week after is another event next Sunday, so I won't be on the net. And the Sunday after that is the BATC. Well, it is the BATC convention, but not really. It's the RSGB convention and the AMSAT convention in Milton Keynes, and I will be attending that, so I won't be on next Sunday. Sorry, not next Sunday, the Sunday after next either. So catch you next week, and then that maybe, but probably not, and then that's it for a few weeks. Okay, I think I have to pass it on to Ed. So over to you, Ed. G0MJW, hunting for a test card here.
Hello everybody, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Papa Yankee 2 Radio November. It's a beautiful day here, blue sky, sunny. Temperature increasing, start the morning with 10 degrees when I watched the thermometer. but it's already 20, so temperature is increasing. I don't even know if my camera is working. I don't know why, but I was waiting for Zulu Sierra 6 Mike. He is on the list, but I never saw him. Not sure if he's gonna join Gary. Anyways, yeah, I got a camera. So hello everybody. Yep, very nice. Just say hello to you, Gary. Thanks for starting the net and conducting it. Bert, nice to see you. A couple of weekends we don't see you. I hope your computer collaborate and you can get everything normal there in your station. Oh, Mr. Martin, nice to see you. Long time also. Doesn't join the Worldwide Net. So glad to see you, Mrs. FKK as well. And beautiful sunflowers that you have on your back, Martin. I believe those are sunflowers. Very beautiful. And Mike, hello. Nice to see you there. I don't have much to tell you guys. The only thing I wish to tell, not for you exactly, but because I believe you guys are already very aware about it, but this week I was working with some adapters, F to SMA, female to female, male to female, blah, blah, blah. So those adapters, F to SMA. And you guys must be careful because some of them caused me problems. And, the thing is, the female F, so you're not going to be able to see that, but the female, some of them, has it too wide inside. It's too wide. And the regular RG6 or RG59, 75 ohms cable, the inner conductor is not wide enough to get in contact with the inner female adapter. So that can cause you lots of headache because you lose signal, you don't get signal, and this the worst part. This can happen also on some LNBs, not this one, but I got already some LNBs with the F connector. The female was really with no standard, no anything, it was too wide, too open, and that can cause you lots of headache because you're not going to imagine, right? I mean, you can imagine now, but many people doesn't know that can happen, and yes, it can. Yeah, I usually don't like F connectors. As F stand for fake, for failure. Those are not the male one because it's pretty forward, but the females are really complicated. You need to be careful. Right, and I think that's it. As requested, yeah, I think I saw Guernsey station on the frequency here a little bit earlier, and I'm gonna pass to him. I think it's Golf Uniform 6 Echo Fox Bravo. So please go ahead. Otherwise, Gary, send back to you. Thank you very much. PY2RN.
Um, Okay, all good. Short net today, of course. But let's just go down the list. Martin, oopsie, why is my power so high? Martin, very, very good to see you again. And hello to Anne. I know she popped in and out and looking gorgeous as always. So, yeah, we should get her to become a radio amateur and sit in front of the camera. Be a big improvement to this mob that we have on the net. Anyway, a very good afternoon to Johannes, Delta Golf 4, Delta Golf or Delta Charlie. He's watching as well. So very nice to see you there, Johannes. And let me just see who else is on. Joachim, Delta Bravo 8 X-Ray Oscar. And of course, Frank, DD0 Charlie Whiskey. These are guys that are all on. Of course, Chris, Ocean November 1 Radio Charlie. Yeah, Murphy's on the net, that's for sure. And I did say Joachim, Delta Bravo 8 X-Ray Oscar. And who else was there? Lucas. Hello, Lucas. Delta Hotel 2 Lima Mike. Good afternoon to you. Again to you, Don. Echo India 8 Delta Juliet. Patrick, hello Patrick, Papa Delta 7 X-Ray, and again Chris, and then Delta Golf 4 Delta Charlie, and of course Bertie's back on. So there we go. Yeah, I have been messing about with some LNBs. The latest little LNB you get becomes a bit of a problem to convert that to a GPS disciplined oscillator. But this is one I was busy with. If I can just show you, don't know how well it comes through. Hold on, let me just do this so that I can see my own picture. That might help a bit. Been playing now. Why doesn't this focus? Come on, focus, bugger. There we go. Yeah, these little terminals are problems. So I did find that luckily it's a single-sided board, so you could cut the PC part away from the one terminal and then use that to put a little cap, 82 picofarad cap between that and where the crystal should go, which is at the bottom. In fact, I've got this thing upside down. However, it worked. It worked very well. I put it on DATV just to test it there, and I found that when I run high power or relatively high power, it dropped. I was only driving it with the Leo Bodner at 8 milliamps, whatever that's supposed to mean, but anyway, at 8 milliamps, and then it dropped 2D ratings. So eventually I cut both ends of the cap very, very small, and I just used a very thin piece of coax and threaded through and earthed the one end to the PC board closest to where the crystal was. Left the other one just hot wire onto that little pin which had been nicely carved around, so it was an isolated F-type female connector. And then at 8 milliamps on the Leo Bodner, I could run any power I wanted to, and it didn't drop a sausage. I also looked at my signal strength on the receiver, and that stayed pretty good. So I was happy with that arrangement. So I did the first one just with the cap open, and I saw that little drop. However, that these two LNBs are going to be used by Adi, ZS6 CNC, and another friend, and they only on SSB running a couple of watts, 2 or 3 watts, so it would not affect them at all. So I didn't bother modifying that one, but the second one, or seeing that I had done it, I'd modified it. And then I found an old LNB that I had tried to modify and really screwed up the crystal thing. I used the infrared light, you know, the little unit that we use to do SMDs with, but I was too impatient, so it didn't heat up properly, and I broke the crystal and a bit of the board and all that. So I dumped it. I thought, hang on, Saturday, little Leslie was visiting me. I thought, let's try and salvage this thing. And so I found 2 other pins, that went to the right pins on the IC, and did the mod. And lo and behold, it's working. And in fact, I'm using it right now. So it felt good to resuscitate something that you were about to turf into the dustbin. So that's the only little bit of electronics I've been doing this week. I've been too busy at the salt mine. Built all the things for the antenna for the beacon. So hopefully this coming week I can just string up the wires and get it done and get it up, and then we'll see what difference it makes to the HF beacon we're running under the call sign of ZS6 Delta November. Right, with that, let's pass it back to, let me just get this thing sorted so that I can switch off in time. Just now I didn't, and that was a bit of a mess. Right, if you wouldn't mind taking it, Bert, and then you can explain about your amplifier board in more detail to Mike. It looked very good, I must admit. Very nice indeed. And I did say hello to Hans as well. So there we go. Back to you, Bert. Papa Alpha 3 Alpha Oscar Delta from Zulu Sierra 6 Yankee India.
Yeah. Okay. It's stable on the moment. I don't know for how long, but anyway. Thanks, Gary. Oh yeah, first other thing. Also the thing from Mike was that I presume it's printed with a 3D, the sun protection cover, of what's the name for it. I did also some testing last week, last Friday, with some LMBs, and I got this one is very easy to modify. This is with four outputs. You can use two inputs, one input for the oscillator, and the other three you can use them for horizontal and vertical for SSB or DATV. But you can get these also in 1, 2, 3, 4 to maximum, I believe 8 or something. It's a little box over here. Oops, that's a McLean. I don't know if it is visible correctly, but it's this one is a 4, and it's very easy to modify for external oscillation. Yeah, the PCBs. Yeah, I showed 3 PCBs. Hopefully this works now. First, oh, there's one. Yeah, and back in business. Yeah, I don't know. I have to really look for it, what the problem is. The other the other PCB I was busy with this one. I don't know if maybe I have to put first on the sheet over it. It's maybe then easy to see what's it. Let's see. Now I have to go to the correct direction. That's this one. And it goes again wrong, That's terrible. Yeah, this is a small PCB. A small coaxial to be placed over here, and also two SMA connectors. This is all FD and so on. A lot of for temperature sensors, on-off switching, also for the BIAS switching, and all that. All the things you can switch or not to switch. There will be a microchip. Hear me. It's a chip And it's a micro, it's a small one, but it's a Raspberry Pi Pico will be placed on the board. Also, yeah, the PTT switching is on. Maybe I can, with some little bit of luck, you can read maybe some text from what's on it. Like just as upside down. Let's see if I can. More FK, the group from PH3 AOD.
Oh, that caught me by surprise, Bert. Oh, I've got the wrong thing up as well. PA3AOD G4FKK. Well, that largely worked quite well, Bert. I could read the writing even when it was upside down. It seems to me as soon as you do anything quick on the camera, the signal is locking up a bit. It takes the audio out as well, but generally speaking, that worked pretty well, Bert. And yeah, thanks for showing us the McLean LNB. I'm using a Bullseye at the moment, which is fine for the TV. In fact, it's very good for TV. It works very well. But the one I modified for my GPS locking, which was obviously very good on narrowband, I think I lost about 1.5, maybe even 2 dB due to the jitter, I think, on my phase lock loop. But I'm going to improve that. I think I've shown you my how I did it. Let's see if I can find a wobbly cam somewhere. There we are. So I've got this. You've probably all seen before, but it's basically got a 10 megahertz oven-controlled crystal oscillator in it, which I've locked to a GPS receiver, and that bit works very well. I've got 7 10 meg outputs, which I use as frequency standards on various bits of kit here. Let's make sure I've got some sound. Oh yeah. And then what I added on locked to the 10 megahertz frequency standard. Oh look, my picture's frozen now. Anyway, those three things are the outputs of an SI5351, and that did work. By the way, I can drive that from this signal generator here, so I can generate any frequency I like from about 4 kilohertz to about 225 megs. So 25 megs was very easy. But the noise coming out of the SI5351 was, as I say, lost me about 2 dB of MER, so that wasn't very good. Let's go back to the other camera. So I don't know how much of that you saw. When I looked at the off-air picture, it had all locked up, so it seems to be back now. The Leo Bodnar was better, but I'm going to put some. I've had a few ideas for taming the outputs from the 5351 to see if I can make it a bit better on the old modified octagon. Right, what else we got here? I like the 3D camera visor there, Mike. That looked very good. I thought you bought yourself a new Pluto for a minute, so it's very good of you to get those going for the other stations there. I'm half thinking about trying to get one of those new Plutos, the CD version. and I'm not sure. At one point, you could order one from Mauser or someone, and it was a bit random whether you got an older one or the new version. So I didn't bother in the end. Yes, I've got a very old ICOM interface that I made years ago, designed by Bob, G4A. Oh, I've got his call sign offhand. But that worked very. I had a 6502, I think, as the main processor. But they're very useful. And the TCXO breakout board looks very useful as well, Mike. And I saw you on the chat saying no one wants those sorts of things, but I think they're very handy. So, but we could, if they're on the wiki, then we can get some made. Yeah, your outside picture, Ed, looked very very tempting. It's a beautiful sunny day here actually today, but it's well, earlier on when I looked, it was about 12 degrees. So I think you'll notice I'm back in jumpers now and long trousers. So I think winter draws on, as they say. I've written a note. Oh, yeah, sunny, yeah. Oh, yeah, they are sunflowers in the background. That's a good spot. They're, I think my daughter brought them round for Anne. And yeah, top tip on the F connectors. Yes, I've got another word I use for F on those connectors. I'm not a huge fan, Ed, but I have had problem with the wrong dimensioned female connectors there. What else have we got here? Well, yeah, Gary. Yeah, there's another station coming up on Freaks. I wasn't quick enough to find out who it was, but someone keeps popping up and jamming the frequency. Not very friendly. Anyway, where was I? Yeah, she took the RAE, but she got 100% in the license conditions, but only just missed the technical mark, and so she gave up at that point. But that was a very long time ago when the radio amateurs exam over here was a written exam, so she wasn't very keen on that sort of thing. And okay, about your experiences with the GPS locking board you got there, Gary. It's interesting that 2.4 gigs made it conk out, and I shall have to listen out for ZS6CNC with his newly done one. And good news on the beacon, by the way, Gary. I wonder, is ZS6 Delta November, is it still on at the moment and you're going to move it, or is it actually off air at the moment? I think that was part of the worldwide linked beacons, wasn't it, from memory? Right, I was going to show you a quick, since I'd got nothing else interesting to show, but I'll make it very quick because I've been droning on for a bit too long, really. So this is a homemade watch. I think I may have shown it before on the net. It's hang on. Sorry about the terrible camera work. It's actually a pocket watch movement in a great big case that I managed to get off eBay. Hence the seconds hand is offset there. Let's put that back in its timing thing. And I don't know if I've shown you this before on the net. This is a multifunction time grapher, which measures various characteristics of the watch. So I was quite pleased with that. So it's gaining 7 seconds a day, which is fine. It's got a good amplitude, and it's saying at the moment a 0.1 millisecond beat error. That's the sort of difference between the tick and the tock. So there you go. Anyway, I thought I'd show you that because I've got nothing else, nothing else to show you. And You gained a dB over the GPS locked octagon with the bullseye. Yeah, I got about the same. Well, nearly 2 dB in my case. Oh, did I do that again? Bloody idiot. Sorry, showed the wrong camera. So yeah, this is the pocket watch movement in a big case. There's the dial side of it, and this time grapher is a relatively new acquisition. It says 11 seconds it's gaining. Oh no, there you go, back to 7. So it tells you all these various characteristics of the watch. Anyway, enough of that. I'll put it back round to you, Mike. Shame Keith wasn't there. I wasn't sure if he would be. I think he's quite busy this time of day normally. So, but round to you, Mike, and see what you've got on the next one. G0MJW, SG4FKK, passing it round to you.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Some interference was causing some issues. Well, it was sunny when I turned the camera on, and it's gone unsunny now. So maybe the sun will come out again, but a bit cold, a bit overcast. That's what the weather's like. Right, several comments there. I've already mentioned the LNB MER got better with the bullseye, and it was a big difference. I think it would really matter. See, I don't know if it really matters for me because I have a big dish, and it would be less of an impact on a small dish, or it would be the same for a small dish, because it depends on whether it's actually limiting the MER. But be interesting to try some of those higher order modulations again that we were trying some time ago at low symbol rates, and see if they work any better with the bullseye versus the Leo Bodner's stabilised octagon, because it was certainly a phase noise effect. And I noticed that I could gain 1 dB on even that one by carefully choosing the reference frequency to be not exactly, you change it by hertz and you gain a dB. So there's some things to be understood there. But so that's probably where your 2 dB came from anyway. The bullseye is perfectly stable enough for DATV use, and you can even correct its frequency if you build that little board up that Colin G40ML designed. Right, anyway, the amplifier board, Bert, that looked really interesting. It looks similar to the one I've built, except for mine is surface mount mostly, and yours is mostly through-hole components. But otherwise the same. But my later ones are on 2 boards. So this is just the display board, and I've got the an Arduino in my case, an Arduino Nano, in the display, and the chips are for driving an LED bar graph to make it look flashy and lights light up and things. But there's another board that goes with that, which does all of the switching, so it's got all of the power transistors on it. There aren't any relays, they're all FETs, switching things on and off. But there we go. And F connectors, Ed, yeah, they're I was going to say they're possibly one up from Belling-Lee, but Martin might disagree with me on that. And I think a Belling-Lee might have just been a UK specific connector, although maybe they were used elsewhere. But I believe F connectors are the original American TV, UHF TV connectors. And it's basically a bit of wire shoved into the hole, isn't it? But you can get precision professional F connectors, but, well, what's the point? Might as well use a proper connector in the first place. But there you go. Right, I don't think there was anything else apart from maybe show you again this thing just so you can, is it going to focus? No, but maybe you can see the ridges on it to see it. It is 3D printed. And I designed it in FreeCAD. And this is a very basic thing to do in FreeCAD, but it took a long time to do. It seems to have a counterintuitive interface to it. And it's very difficult to get anything to work. And you spend most of your time trying to work out why you can't do something and searching on the internet for what it is that you need to do to make it do what you want to do. With that, let's go on to Ed, PY2 iron. Good weather you've got, nice temperatures as well, but we're going into the winter here, so not going to be so nice. Over to you again, and I'll put back the test card, G0MJW.
Okay, thanks, Mike. G0MGW, PY2RN coming back. Very nice. Well, this is no longer news, but for the guys that were maybe interested on getting a new Pluto, by a coincidence, I just was searching DigiKey this past week for some components and alloys, take a look on the Pluto, and they were almost half the price there in DigiKey. I think 170, 174 US dollars. That was a good price. I tried to spread the information to some of the groups that I'm part of, but I just check it now, and they come back to the regular price, 250. Yeah, but I don't know why they got almost 50% off on the Plutos there. I have no idea if it's a version B or one of the newer versions. I didn't get any because I got enough Plutos already, and that's fine. Speaking about beacons, I left a message on the AMSA-DL forum, I think early this week on Wednesday. Maybe you guys know, and I'm out of the loop there, but just put a message, because the DATV beacon here is always getting problems, and I don't know if it was a coincidence or not. That started since it migrated from 2 mega symbols to 1.5, and just wondering why this not can be normalized and get back to 2 mega symbols, or even try 1 mega symbols just to see if it gets stable. Because for us here, doesn't really matter. It's irrelevant if the beacon's working or not, but sympathetic to the guys that are just starting and getting some reception here from the DATV, the wideband transponder. Beacon get problematic. It's an issue. It's a big problem, and would be good if we get a beacon to use as a reference. And it seems that since it gets out of sync, it needs to wait someone to get there and reset it manually. And it stays stable for a couple of days, then gets out of sync again. So hopefully they're gonna find a solution soon, because it's been long time this beacon is unstable, and I can imagine all the problems that the software developers like F6DZP and others get questions. Hey, listen, I get a strong signal, but I cannot decode anything. Questions like that should be popping up every time there. All right, guys. Wish you a great week, and hope to see you all again next week, and 73 to all. Martin, yeah, your transmission was perfect, but I think someone just by mistake was trying to transmit over you. I even saw a very narrow signal jumping up on yours, but I think that was by mistake. And and I think that's about it regarding the F connectors. Yeah, yeah, I just need to be careful, and they are not standard anyways. I mean, most of the connectors today are not. Even SMAs and N, you have to be lucky to get a good connector nowadays. Even from Amphenol, I bought some connectors, and they were made in China, and those, I think those are PL, you know, those UHF connectors, PL259. Amphenol, but they were lightweight, and I thought they were fake. And no, but actually I access Amphenol webpage, and yeah, they do have that model. I don't know, seems like a second class PL259 connector. That's a shame. All right, guys, thank you for this, and 73 to all. Gonna cease the transmission, give some opportunities to someone that may join the net. Otherwise, back to you, Gary. Gary, just a feedback regarding the with hands. I think I'm gonna be able to start the test on the 20th. I just put a standalone computer here for this purpose, and believe I'm gonna be able. We're gonna make a few tests today, and if it's okay, I just reply back to him and confirm our test. Okay, y'all. 73. Back to you, Gary. Zulu 06 Yankee India, Papa Yankee 2 Radio November.
Oh, there was something to tell Ed that you forgot there, Mike, and that's a TCXO and 1.8 volt experiences. Okay, well, I'm sure on your next round you could quickly mention that. It'd be interesting. And hello to Lucas. And yeah, the F is a de facto standard here as well in South Africa, as a matter of fact, Lucas. And noted you using 85 centimeter dish and the octanol LSP02G, cheapest on the market. But it's working, and you are receiving us, which is all great news. Yeah, just a few comments quickly. Let me just go down the list. Yeah, I was actually going to mention Hans, Delta Lima 2 Mike Delta Quebec. We assisting him with some interesting research on the Doppler effect on our QO-100 satellite. Quite a nice bit of mathematics involved. We get the information, firstly, with very stable oscillators on, for example, the Pluto. And then we go onto the beacon, lock it, and then measure the difference in frequency. We get about 8 hertz at the moment, which is not bad, but it shows you there is a bit of a shift. So there's a lot of R&D being done at the moment, interesting behind-the-scene things, and Hans and a couple of professors and a young mathematician in Spain, and yeah, where they asked me to help with the Southern Hemisphere, and then I asked Ed if he wouldn't mind, because we have this equinox coming up soon, and there's some interesting activities that they want to try and see what happens in different parts of the globe. So that's a background to what Ed was just mentioning. But Ed, would be lovely if you can assist. In fact, I also did some changes to the shack. I put a very big unit in to run off batteries, so that if my mains fails, because we've got a lot of issues at the moment with our electricity going off. So I've got a very large UPS system running 4 12-volt batteries, which is 48-volt input, but it's fine. I leave the power off for a long time, and it hardly drops. So that's with the whole station running. But in any event, I have a very big 100 kilowatt per hour generator running about 80 amps per phase, 3-phase, so that we can carry on living even if the power's not here. So that takes 30 seconds to kick in, but it's in that 30 seconds that you lose computers or whatever. So now that's done. So I sorted that out this weekend. Right, Mike, excellent on the board. I like that idea that you can slot in different little units, and then you know, it makes it very versatile actually. So you can have a nice output there. Perhaps a bit of an improvement would be to put a little bit of buffer amps onto that, so that you could spread it out amongst different equipment. Just a emitter follower buffer amp will do the job beautifully. But that's a nice idea you have there. And yeah, that 3D printed shroud that you've got there, you know, we did a very similar thing for BMW for their radiator shroud. At that time it was on the Land Rover, because in South Africa things get very hot, especially in different parts of the country. So we had to design a radiator shroud that could maximize the airflow, of course, to keep the thing as cool as possible. And there was a lot of mathematics involved and a lot of messing around. Those days we didn't have 3D printers, so what we'd do is we'd cut it. The prototype we'd cut out of a sort of a plastic wood, if you wish, and then take a fiberglass casting off that and make a one-off sample and then send it into the desert for tests. It took a long time, about 18 months worth of development, but we got it right eventually. Very nice, and it ran for a number of years as an OE product. So we produce it and it goes onto the vehicle that was built locally at that stage. But anyway, that reminded me of that experience. And Barton, the ZS6 Delta November beacon is active at one of my factories. It's been since about March this year on the various worldwide frequencies. Recently I had an issue with the radio, which I repaired. Luckily it wasn't too a difficult problem, component failure. Sorted it out, and it's on an ICOM transceiver, runs 100 watt output into, at the moment, a Cushcraft antenna. I'm not getting the results I would have liked to have had, but this week it's been very good, all in the green and above 70, 80 hits. So, but anyway, next week I hope to, it's just depending on time at the salt mine, is to put up the a new antenna. Everything else is done. I must just string the cables and then tune it and then zap it up, and then hopefully that will be a big improvement on maybe getting more stations to receive it. So it was a beacon put up originally by Dave Larson, as I said earlier, well, last week or so. He was the MD of Raycol South Africa. Very, very technical guy, lovely guy. We were very, very good friends. And then when he passed on, the South African Radio League organized with the powers that be that call sign remains, just to run the beacon in memory of Dave and the excellent work he did in the radio field in South Africa. You know, he invented the very first transistorized portable military radio. And then Raycol, the UK, decided to give it to a couple of hams just to test for the weekend, just to see what it's like. And it was a runaway hit, and they sold millions of those things. And old Dave, he was all right. Anyway, that's just the background on that one. And then we have Viv, ZS6 Victor Delta, also watching. And hello, Viv. Viv built his own SSB or narrowband satellite station, uplink, from scratch, and it's working very well. But we must still try and convince him to come onto onto DATV. Now, I've known Viv. He was in one of my classes I gave in the military in 1979. The last few weeks I had left in the army because I had to do national service. And so Viv was one of that group, or one of the groups that came for the last lectures. So that's how long we've known each other. Very technical guy, and he does well. Okay, with that, I think we'll close the net, but I'll spin it around for one over, but I'm going to go off if you guys don't mind. I'll close the net, but just we can keep the net running for however long you wish. And but thank you all for coming up today. It's, as usual, been very interesting and very pleasant. So, Bert, yeah, when you move fast, you have an issue with your signal freezing. So I don't know why. Somewhere there's a buffer problem also, but I'm sure you'll get that right. Papa Alpha 3 AOD from Zulu Sierra 6, Yankee, India.
Yeah, okay, that's correct, Kerry. When I'm moving, so you said don't move. Okay, I will not move. Yeah, but sometimes it also happens when it's longer time. It's a static picture. It also goes wrong. Yeah? I don't know what it is. So never do a Windows update. Yeah, that was my own fault. Just pressing yes instead of no. But anyway. Yeah, a small thing about the F connector. We're using also at the professional side. We're using it in the LoFar field. Maybe some guys know LoFar. That's astronomical antennas and electronics, and that's all filled with F connectors. One of the reasons is the price. They're very cheap. And there's more problems with the boards with electronics than with the F connectors itself. So. Oh yeah, one remark about my board with all the different components. On the other side, you can see it. There are also some SMD components, but then on the other layer, on the other side, maybe you can see it there. There are also some components on the side. There are some SMDs, and on the top side only lead components. When possible, I will use always leader. It's easier to measure and to install. And one small thing more, using, maybe pick up the schematic, if that works. Let's see. Yeah, that works. Because I'm using it also for the amplifier, it's used for amplifier for the 48 volts. I'm using an LM370. But the type must be the HV, high voltage. You can, I can use it for approximately till 500 milliampere. So just enough for switching and what we call it, the must amplifier. Do not put in more than 500 milliamps, otherwise the 370 will be fried. You can say fried. It's not so difficult. It's a complete schematic diagram. I can see what sense I'm using. The display I'm using an OLED or LCD, doesn't matter what, with the serial or the SPI input. SDA, SHL, IIC or SPI input. And also control for water flow for a pump. So you can change the ventilator or a water pump. And also a sensor for the flow, the liquid flow, and a lot of other things on it. But anyway, that's all from this side. Have a nice week, everybody. See you probably next week, and hopefully with a little bit better signal than what is now. It's stable in the moment, but don't move. Yeah, okay. Have a nice weekend, as said, and see you next week, all. System then goes to Martin. G4FKK, the group from PH3 AOD.
Yeah, fine, Bert. I'll make it reasonably quick. I know Mike's got something he wants to tell Ed. Yeah, someone's just popped up in the chat and said that there was a strange metallic noise on your audio that over, Bert. It didn't start off with it. For about 30 seconds or so, your audio was fine. Then suddenly this metallic noise came. It sounded like digits looping round somehow, but why it wasn't there at the start, and it was in sync with what you were saying. Anyway, there you go. Yeah, Mike. Well, I've only got a 1.1 meter dish here, and it seemed to have a similar or worse impact on my signals than you got on your dish. And I built the EML board and had a tweak of the frequencies. And I always liked. Well, I didn't like Bellingleys. If you got a good one, we had some nice ones at the BBC, proper plated steel and PTFE inners, so they didn't melt as soon as you tried to solder any coax into them. And they were surprisingly good. They worked well up to UHF. I can't remember measuring the impedance particularly, but they worked better than the PL259s anyway. Interesting on the DigiKey, Ed, selling the Plutos cheap for a while. Shame they stopped, really. And yeah, I point noted on the DATV beacon. That gave me problems in my early days. You're never quite sure whether the receiver had gone funny, or a bit of software I was running had gone funny, or whether it was the beacon. So, but I guess, as you say, people who've been on for a while are used to it now. And yeah, shame that Amphenol you can't rely on those either now. That's a pity. Gary, if you're still there, cheerio to you. And the 8 Hertz Doppler's interesting. And the UPS, all I've got here is a very small UPS on the computers, and no generator. So when the volts go here, which touch wood they don't, we haven't had a power cut for quite a while. But when that goes, the computers automatically shut themselves down because they know that suddenly they're on the UPS. And we have to wait till the power comes back. Right, with that, I'll put it round to Mike. Cheerio to everyone. Great to see you on. And I shall hopefully be on next week. I won't be on Thursday, Mike, because I'm still up in Birmingham on Thursday. But hopefully I might be able to make this net next Sunday. So, right, G0MJW to take it with the group. G4FKK signing off and clear. Cheerio.
Yeah, thank you, Martin. Right, yeah, all noted. Birmingham. I was up in Manchester a couple of weeks ago. In fact, in the fateful week. But I did get back here for the Sunday, but I missed the Thursday net as well. So noted you won't be on the Thursday net this time. Which reminds me to say, I think we should make it clear that people don't have to be in the BATC to join the net. We welcome overseas visitors as well to that net, as to this one, I believe, although that's for Gary to say, or for Sarah, who set it all up. So all good. Anyway, the thing I was going to mention to Ed, because this was in relation to putting a new TCXO in the Pluto. Ed assured us that it would work off 1.8 volts. Well, it does, but when I came to measure it, it was 16 ppm out in terms of its frequency, and it did wobble a bit. So I tried it on 3.3 volts, and it was almost exactly on frequency and didn't wobble as much. So I think you really do need to run them on 3.3 volts. They will run off 1.8 volts. They oscillate okay, but they don't seem to be quite on frequency. At least the ones that I was testing weren't. I measured the voltage, it was 1.85 volts versus 3.3 volts. So the problem is the standard 1.8 volt ones that nicely fit on the existing pads on the PCB, once you struggle to get the thing off, which is hard because of the grounding through the board, it acts as a huge heat sink. But once you've got them off, you could put the old ones back in the same spot, but not with these ones, which is a bit of a problem. Anyway, it's on there, and hopefully the owner will be happy enough. But I'll make one for the other one, for the Revision C Pluto. And yeah, Gary, I thought about putting buffer amplifiers on, and I decided not to, because it doesn't need one for this application. The TCXO has quite a high output. It's about, what is it, 3 volts peak to peak, something like that. So I've actually got an attenuator in there to get it back down to a level that's suitable for the Pluto. We put typically 1.3 volts peak to peak. Okay, all of that is done, I think. Let's see if there's any questions on the chat. You'll be in Manchester in October. Good. Well, enjoy it, Martin. I've got a Geneva trip coming up, but I haven't got any trips to Carshalton, I'm afraid. So, with that, I don't know if you're still there, Ed, and want to come back on comments about TCXOs, but all okay. It does at least work. So PY2, if you're there, otherwise whoever's next, G0MJW.
Roger that, Mike. I suppose we are talking about this guy here. No, it's a very interesting information that you're getting. I used this on 2 Plutos. I didn't notice any wobbling, and frequency got pretty stable. I really bought from here. Actually, I paid like $15. Now it's 21. But anyways, if you measure that on 3.3 and it works much more stable, so I believe that's the way to go with 3.3. No, so let's mitigate any risk, because all the testing that I made was on SSB, and everything worked fine, but it doesn't mean that we'll stay working fine forever. And you're right, it doesn't fit on the original pads. I had to do this. So the red one is the 1.8, yellow one is the signal, and the green is the ground. Yeah, don't mind the yellow tape, but yeah, that was what I got in hand to install it. This is revision B, the old Pluto. But thanks anyway, Mike, for the information. Very valuable, and for the people who's gonna use this guy, probably better to get on 3.3. I'm wondering if it would work on 5, because I'm not sure if in the Pluto 3.3 is available. I really don't remember. So I'm not sure if on 5 volts, which is available from Pluto, on 5 volts it will work. Although I'm also have questions about the purity on the 5 volts Pluto line. So I'm not sure if it's going to be suitable for 5 volts. But thanks for that. All right, guys. Thanks a lot. 7312. Papa Yankee 2 Radio November.
In the group, we're going to say 7-3, closing the net. And the group, thanks for coming up. 7-3, closing the net. Why doesn't this thing shut up? Thanks for coming up. Oh, that's very interesting. Anyway, yeah, there is definitely 3.3 volt on the Pluto. So you have no problems. You can take it just off its little regulator on the opposite side of the board. If you look at the board from the top, you get your voltage USB port. Just above that, there's a little coil, a little inductor. And then next to it is the 3.3 volt regulator. You can take a little wire from there over to where you have your dead buck construction, and that should be fine. That's what we've been doing this end, and Mike's totally right. It runs far happier at a slightly higher voltage. With that, we'll say 7-3 to all on frequency. Thanks for coming up. We'll hopefully see everyone next week, and our deepest sympathies again to the people of the UK with the passing of the Queen. Her funeral tomorrow. It will be a sad day for sure. And we wish you all well. This is ZA6YI now closing the DATV net, throwing the ball in the air. Whoever wants to continue, please be our guest. And yes, Mike, anyone's entitled and allowed, and we welcome stations from all over to come and join us on a Sunday. It makes it more interesting. 7-3 all round, ZA6 Yankee India now, QRT.